Hi, I'm Katy Wickremesinghe and I'm excited to present The Wick, a place where we are on a mission to connect the culturally curious and to celebrate visual arts, culture and creativity in all its forms. Nazi, sexy, shark show. What do those words mean to you? Together, they form the title of a new exhibition from one of the most provocative and potent young voices in British art today, artist Sarah Maple.
This isn't a sitcom, this is video art.
How can it be video art?
This unmissable exhibition in the heart of East London at Jealous Gallery will debut a new selection of Sarah Maple's work curated by Bryan, arts broadcaster and head of global collections at Soho House. Maple has fast become renowned for the provocative nature of her work, exploring themes of feminism, identity and self-expression, whilst Kate is a champion of female art voices across the globe and also an advocate for anti-elitism in the arts.
Look who I'm helping, a woman, there aren't really women artists, and funny hair and poor.
Nazi, Sexy, Shark Show is a pretty provocative title. Can you tell us a bit about how you came up with a name, how you put those words together?
Well, it's sort of absurd because initially when I met Sky to talk about the idea for the art sitcom, we were initially going to call it Sarah Maple's The Show. And they said, oh, that's too boring, no one will click on that, no one will watch that. And then they said the things that people click on the most are Nazis, sex and sharks. And I thought, perfect combo, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose what you're doing is really playing into the hands of this society and culture which is just so clickbait driven, and we're standing here next to your marble works which are kind of testament to that. You come into the gallery, you see these works, you think, wow, they're kind of text carved into marble. It must be some amazing message from ancient Rome. It's got longevity, it's eternal. What does our society stand for that we will be judged by what is carved in stone? And what is carved in stone is Amal Clooney wears long white gloves. And what are these?
It's a very important headline actually, Kate. So these are genuine headlines taken from the Daily Mail. And so the first one I saw was Miley Cyrus in red bra selfie, and I found myself clicking on it. And I was just really fascinated, and I had to read it. And I thought, why am I now down this rabbit hole of the sidebar of shame where I was fascinated looking at all these stories? I think we all do it. So I thought it would be, I was interested in what it says about society and what it says about us and the things that we're interested in, we're more interested in these things than we are maybe in the actual news.
Also the kind of an importance that we place on celebrity culture and the way that you've actually played with this idea of legacy and heritage and materials that stand for something so different. And how do you go about making this type of work?
The headline has to be a very specific level of silly. And actually the language on those websites are really stupid. They're always like, Lauren Goodyear falls out of her, she's
tumbling out of her car.
Yeah, tumbling out, yeah. Those kind of provocative words that make it like women are sort of showing off or being gratuitous when they're just walking down the streets, basically.
And talking of feminism, obviously a lot of your work is almost a poke at the art world, but one factor, and I think it's a key theme for both of you, is this idea of the importance of the women, which you do take, obviously, indeed, very seriously. And Sarah, in terms of some of your collage works that are in this show specifically, they obviously hero and talk very much about femininity and sexuality. Sarah, how do you think those themes play into the collage works that we can see here today in the gallery?
In a lot of my previous practice, I've been quite literal and making bold statements about feminism and things like that, and women's issues. But I think with these ones, it's more of a subtle change. It's very different actually, and it's sort of looking more like shapes and forms, and I basically was cutting out images of women, and when I turned it around, the image on the other side was more interesting to me of another woman inside another image of another woman.
But what I really like about that entire series, for me, it's a celebration of all of these hundreds of women who are sort of completely trapped within the pages of these magazines. They've been objects, they've been commodified, they've been fetishized in a particular way. And then what Sarah's done is sort of this is so crude, forgive me, but save them from these fates. They're kind of regenerated. What you've done is sort of take them and from a sort of fate worse than death of being this woman objectified with her tits out, and you've celebrated these women.
No, David, no yanking, not yanking.
Yeah, yanking.
No, not yanking.
Yeah, yanking.
So Sarah, tell us a little bit more about your video work and how you managed to engage such a great network of people to be involved.
Well, I've always had a huge love of comedy, and that's informed a lot of my work. And I sort of had this idea of how can I combine art and comedy in a more sort of literal way. And then I thought, would it be great just to make a sitcom about being an artist, because I don't think it's been done before. It's basically based on real life experiences. Like David Tennant really did buy my art, and we have this whole argument in the episode because I want the piece back, I want to borrow it, I want to reprint it, and he won't let me. So it's all about who really owns the artwork. Does he now actually own it? Do I have any say over it anymore? Sonia, our director, has actually worked with Sonia on a number of her film works. So Sonia was like, I'm up for it, which is insane.
But the thing is, you sell yourself short. The idea of the programme is so fundamentally pioneering, in the sense that it's a sitcom and it's a video art, it's an art com. No one's ever done anything like that before.
Brilliant! I think that's the best idea for a piece of art that anyone's ever had. Yes!
Well, what I love about the piece is there's so many themes where you're actually sort of touching upon real conversations, but just very inflated or extremist versions, which I think we do see playing out in this world, which we call the art world. And I think on that note, Kate, obviously you oversee a collection which is, I think, 5,800 strong. Every time I speak to you, this collection is growing that you're overseeing at Soho House Group. And it's one of the biggest collections you can actually view within those houses. So you're obviously seeing artwork every day, you're obviously speaking to artists every day. What is it, I mean, about Sarah's work specifically that spoke to you?
She's very interested in democracy in the art, which is a huge thing that I'm interested in. So she opens the door beautifully through a number of devices, some of them, you know, satire, humour, some of them great pathos. And I think this is, for me, like, it's 2020, and I just feel like beyond excited that I'm involved in this exhibition because it's so timely. We're dealing with elitism, we're dealing with sexism, we're dealing with racism. What I think is really important about Sarah's practice is that she creates this space where we can all deal with these major issues which we all experience, we're all complicit in, but she gives us space to allow things to change, and surely that's what art's for.
Mum, I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need your delicious handouts.
So much of your work is around themes of self-identity. Could you talk us through one of the main works in your show, which is actually a painting of yourself?
In a lot of my work, I've sort of had to, I'm sort of almost like two people, you know.
What do you mean in terms of the two people? Because I know you've drawn parallels with that in some of your interviews.
Yeah, it's a good question, yeah.
Kate, you answer that question.
Yeah, I know, but you talked before. This painting, I think you so beautifully talked about it last night when you said you have imposter syndrome in the art world, and it's almost like you exist in two realms. Like you have, like, Sarah Maple, art world, provocateur, and then you have Sarah Maple, I've got my mum and my sister and I want to make everyone proud, and I've got to kind of like negotiate the boundaries of my background and then the art world. And I think everybody sometimes feels like they exist in 2 or 3 different planes, and it feels extremely explicit in that painting.
Yeah, so that's my mum, and she's looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's called Self-Portrait with Preceptor, because it's based on an original painting by this artist called Thomas Barker of Bath, who was a famous forger. And he did this painting with him, like, at the canvas with his teacher over his shoulder. I was kind of really resonated with this forger. I just really liked that, like, people were really annoyed when they found out they had one of his paintings, like not a Gainsborough or something, and he was never successful in his own right. And I just really resonated with that, and I just sort of...
What, like imposter syndrome?
Yeah, exactly, like you're sort of feeling of imposter syndrome.
And you've also got, obviously I noticed sort of like religious iconography in that work. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think, because of my mum looking over my shoulder, I think I always want to please my mum, because my mum's quite religious, and I always want to keep her happy and not do anything to upset her, but a lot of my work is quite provocative at the same time. Yeah. And so I kind of, it's like her always being in the background, and then the sort of religious plate there, sort of between us kind of thing.
Yeah, and actually I think this is one of the artworks I've seen of yours where you really lay your soul bare, because it's sort of an existential crisis, that blank canvas, isn't it? You look at it and you think, this is Sarah Maple deciding who am I as an artist, how do I navigate the art world?
Where to go from here?
Yeah, that's why I almost didn't finish it, Kate.
Yeah, I know, actually, that was one of my, I think if I've done anything, it was saying, yeah, paint the walls and finish the bloody painting.
So Sarah, Kate, thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a busy day, but the one thing I did want to ask you before we wrap is, what's the one takeaway that you would like people to take from this show when they come and view it or view it digitally?
I want to get across that art can be for everyone, and it's not something that only certain people can enjoy, and it can be fun and lots of different things. So I want people to come along and watch Sarah Maple's Nazi Sexy Shark Show on 14th of October.
It's diverse, it's kooky.
Oh, it's hilarious. It's actually a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, something there.
If you would like to see Nazi Sexy Shark Show, it's on at Jealous Gallery in East London until the 18th of October, and you can also catch Sarah's show on Sky Arts on the 14th of October.